For half a century, the Olympic field hockey podium belonged almost exclusively to two nations. Between 1928 and the early 1980s, India and Pakistan held an absolute monopoly over the sport. India secured 6 successive Olympic gold medals, winning their first 5 Olympic appearances without conceding a single goal. Soon after, Pakistan joined them at the elite level, claiming 3 Olympic golds and 4 World Cup victories, more than any other side in the history of the tournament. Then, the winning stopped. By the mid-1980s, this South Asian dynasty vanished from the top of the podium. Over the course of a decade, the geopolitical center of field hockey relocated. Wealthy Western and Oceanic nations like the Netherlands, Germany, and Australia took over the leaderboards, claiming the medals that used to reliably head to South Asia. The fundamental physics of the ground beneath their feet had been altered, rendering decades of honed instincts obsolete. In the 1970s, the entire sport transitioned away from traditional natural grass. The new standard became artificial, synthetic plastic turf. Eventually, these pitches evolved into specialized water-based artificial surfaces. By densely packing the synthetic fibers and flooding them with water, the surface friction essentially disappeared. The ball could now travel at blistering speeds, entirely changing the pace of a match. But this speed came with a steep price tag. Installing a water-based pitch costs millions of dollars, requiring an immense underground irrigation infrastructure to keep the turf perfectly slick. This economic barrier broke the South Asian dynasty. Developing nations could not afford to build these million-dollar pitchers. Without the ability to practice on the new standard surface, their players were priced out of elite international competition. Materials science and high infrastructure costs rewrote the sport's global hierarchy, favoring affluent nations who could easily foot the bill. The introduction of hyper-fast water turf meant players needed to upgrade their equipment just to maintain control of the ball. Traditional carved wood sticks were no longer fast or durable enough. Wood was rapidly phased out in favor of modern designs, lightweight carbon fiber composite materials, reinforced with strong fiberglass and aramid. Yet the core mechanical constraint of field hockey remained the same. Players are only legally permitted to strike the ball with the flat face of the stick. If they touch it with the rounded back, it's a penalty. To maximize striking power and control on the flat side, engineers introduced the bow, a carefully regulated curve built into the shaft. After experimenting with extreme curves, the International Hockey Federation capped the bow at a maximum depth of 25 millimeters. Through strict regulation and advanced engineering, a rudimentary wooden sporting tool escalated into a highly calibrated, high-velocity, modern carbon fiber weapon. The combination of frictionless water turf and stiff carbon sticks resulted in incredibly high ball velocities. Traditional gameplay suddenly became dangerously fast. To protect players, the International Hockey Federation strictly enforced the dangerous play rule. This explicitly forbids hard, elevated hits into a crowded scoring circle. Athletes bypass this restriction by using their stick's 25mm bow to invent 3D skills, lifting and carrying the ball in the air. Safety rules capped the first penalty corner shot at the 460mm backboard, but there was a loophole. The limit only applied to traditional hits. The drag flick let players scoop, drag the ball up the shaft, and legally launch a high arc over that line. Athletes constantly continue to invent new tactical maneuvers in the gray areas between the strict rulebook and the limits of material engineering. Today, field hockey is so hyperkinetic that the rules had to adapt to human physical limits. The game is now broken into 4 15-minute quarters with unlimited rolling substitutions, just so players can survive the sheer sprinting speed the turf demands. However, that speed relies on a massive ecological footprint. Keeping those elite pitches slick requires thousands of gallons of water per match. Recognizing this waste, the FIH is pivoting again. They mandated the engineering of dry hybrid turfs for upcoming Olympic cycles, starting with Paris 2024 and pushing toward Los Angeles in 2028, demanding the same speed with a fraction of the water. From the introduction of plastic fibers to the engineering of dry hybrid turfs, field hockey remains a sport where the equipment and the environment define the game just as much as the athletes do.